Okay, we're going to work through depreciation. First thing we're going to do is straight line depreciation, and we're going to assume that we have the following asset. That's really out of focus. There, that's better. The following asset we have in front of us. So we're going to assume this asset, whatever it is, a building, a bulldozer, a piece of equipment, whatever this plant asset is, it cost us $250,000, right? That is our initial cost. So now we've estimated at the end of the life of this thing, when we're done using it, it's going to have a salvage value, or we can sell it when it's all used up for about $20,000, right? That tells us already we know that our depreciable cost is going to be $230,000, right? So I'm going to take $230,000 and depreciate it over its useful life, which we've got stated here. It's either going to be 5 years when we're doing that method, or 300,000 miles when we're doing a different method. Right now we're going to do straight line depreciation, right? Straight line depreciation. So we're going to assume this thing is going to last us 5 years, worth $20,000 when it's all done, and a cost of $250,000, right? So we have this formula for calculating straight line depreciation. Simple formula. It is cost minus salvage value. Cost minus salvage value all over useful life, right? Gives us our depreciation expense per year, right? So there's our formula. So our cost is what? $250,000. Salvage value is, what is salvage value? $20,000 all over 5 years. You do that math and it comes out to $46,000 per year, right? So now we know that we're going to depreciate this thing by $46,000 per year. And we're going to look at this on an annual basis, right? So remember, what do we do with that $46,000? We put it back into that adjusting entry at the end of every year that deals with depreciation expense debit, accumulated depreciation credit, right? So that's what we do with that. So now let's take a peek at what happens to the book value and those kind of things over time. So I'm going to build a little table. Our book value at the beginning of the year, right? We're going to look at that. Depreciation expense per year, right? And then we have book value at the end of the year, right? Book value at the end of the year. So year one, right? This is the year, right? Year one, my book value at the beginning of the year, we just bought this thing, so it's what? $250,000, right? $250,000. We know we're going to depreciate it by $46,000 this year, right? So at the end of the year, I will have depreciation of $46,000. So that my book value is now $204,000, right? So what we started with, what we've used up this year, and now this is the remaining usefulness of this thing, right? So if that's my book value at the end of year one, it must be my book value at the beginning of year two, right? And the second year, I depreciate for another $46,000. So the table 4 minus the 46 gives us, what does it give us? $158,000, right? So after the second year, we've got $158,000 of usefulness remaining, right? Year 3, I bring that $158,000 back over here. Straight line's pretty simple because it's just the same thing over and over again. That depreciation expense is the same every year. 158 minus 46 gives us $112,000. Year 4, we start with $112,000. We depreciate another $46,000. And now we're down to what? $66,000, right? Our last year of depreciation, now we got to pay attention, right? $66,000. We got to have a book value of this thing at the end of its life of $20,000, right? So we need to make sure that we land on $20,000. So 46,000, right? 66 minus 46 gives us $20,000 book value at the end of its life. We know that has to be $20,000 because we have to depreciate this over, we have to depreciate it down to its salvage value, right? Now, I know that if I add this up, I would get what? $230,000 because that's depreciation over the life of this thing, right? Here we're measuring annual depreciation expense, right? But accumulated depreciation would be a sum, a cumulative thing, right? So the accumulated depreciation at the end of the second year would be the sum of those, and the end of the third year, the sum of all three. End of the fifth year, accumulated depreciation is $230,000. My book value at the end of the fifth year is $20,000, right? So what we've done is taken that $230,000 and allocated that expense among these 5 different accounting periods, because that's what we're doing in depreciation, right? Straight line is the simplest of all the methods because it's consistent. It's the same every year, right? If I'm going to graph straight line depreciation, it's going to be what? It's going to be a nice straight line, hence the name. So this is the first method of depreciation that we have, right? This little table helps us because it tells us, it shows us the loss of usefulness each period, and we can watch that book value go down and down and down until we get to that salvage value at the end. So there we go. That's a look at straight line depreciation.